that was closing out the MBT accounts and transferring.
Sorry. Yeah, that's fine. Does he embrace it?
Nope, no. Are you a lefty?
No.
Oh,
I'm still like the guys. It's dangerous.
Better.
Last one for 21 years now.
I wonder what happened.
The first day you get them was the last day of the party books. So the deadline was June or July.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
I think you can start out right then, and then we'll do it on the second.
Hey, Rick.
Hi, how are you, Dave?
Good.
How you been?
Good. Good. Let's see. I asked if I was going to have to sit next to you, and they said no.
Huh?
I asked if I was going to have to sit next to you, and they said no, so I...
Well, actually, it's a handicap piece of I'm stone deaf in there, so I can't hear him. I am stone deaf. Can't do anything with a hearing aid, so I gotta sit kind of
When I want to get away with something, I'll know which ear to talk to.
rotary. I always sitting on one end of the table, going that way all the way, so I can hear what's going on.
Good move.
Oh. Hi, Jim.
I don't.
Anybody talk to Tim since they interviewed Jonathan Jensen? Talked to him since he...
I haven't seen him.
Well, he's been on the road, I guess. And then he hasn't been here since he took his new job.
Should be in about 8.
Should-
Could be in tomorrow about 8.
Yeah.
So you think one of them, but I get that. Here's a spot.
Good. And I guess
Thank you,
There's a-
Stan.
this isn't just what Morristown Beach is. Apparently, I got it.
No, yours, peruse. I figured that.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at. I did.
Oh, okay.
call the meeting to order. Are there any additions or amendments to the minutes of the May 2012 meeting?
Make a motion to adopt the minutes.
I'll second the motion. All in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Minutes adopted. Before we start the comment section, I'd like to introduce David Mertz. He's the new town attorney here for us, for the town of Morris. Does anybody have any comments to the board?
I do.
Marilyn?
Over the past several months, many of us in the town have asked the town board to address the following. Number one, the fact that the townspeople cannot hear town board members speak, with several requests to speak louder. Our requests have not been answered or have been ignored. And number two, the fact that 3 of the town board members have not answered the request by the people to face the people when the business of the town is being conducted, and when members of the public have concerns and are speaking aloud. Therefore, on June 6, 2012, we contacted the Committee on Open Government in Albany with regard to these 2 situations. And based on the foregoing, Robert Freeman of the Committee on Open Government issued an advisory opinion based on a similar situation in another town and forwarded it to us. And I have copies for each board member. Mr. Freeman's letter states, I direct your attention to Section 100 of the Open Meetings Law, the provision that states it is essential to the maintenance of a democratic society that the public business be performed in an open and public manner, and that the citizens of this state are fully aware of and able to observe the performance of public officials and attend and listen to the deliberations and the decisions that go into making of public policy. The people must be able to remain informed if they are to retain control over those who are their public servants. It is the only climate under which the Commonwealth will prosper and enable the government process to operate for the benefit of those who created it. Based on the foregoing, it is my view, this is Mr. Freeman speaking, that public bodies must conduct meetings in a manner that guarantees the public the ability to be fully aware of and listen to the deliberative process. Further, I believe that every statute, including the Open Meetings Law, must be implemented in a manner that gives effect to its intent. In this instance, the board must, in my view, situate itself and conduct its meetings in a manner in which those in attendance can observe and hear the proceedings. To do otherwise would, in my opinion, be unreasonable and fail to comply with the basic requirement of the Open Meetings Law. Therefore, we, the people of the town of Morris, would like to request the town board members whose backs are to us turn their chairs around and resituate themselves so that people can have the ability not only to hear them, but so the people can be fully aware of and observe what is being conducted at the table where the town board members sit and where town business is being conducted. If they cannot comfortably resituate their seats to accommodate the requests of the people to be fully engaged, then the request to acquire an additional table or whatever is necessary to accommodate our request and allow board members to face the people is made at this time. Thank you. I have a copy of the law that I'll distribute after.
Any other comments? Yes.
As I stated 3 board meetings ago, I would be submitting mainstream evidential articles and evidence that there are massive fracking accidents and methane migrations and so on and so forth. And 2 interesting articles that I would like to submit this month are the 3 families in Pennsylvania won a $1.6 million settlement against the gas company, along with full disclosure, which means the truth will be really flowing out from here on in about the dangers of fracking. The latest article I have is methane leak detected at Marcellus fracking well. Shell Oil tried to smooth it over, saying they detected a minor bubbling 4,000 feet away from a well. When the Pennsylvania media got there to do a report on it, they photographed and reported on 1 to 2 foot geysers shooting out of the ground. So on a personal note, most of us already knew this is not a safe practice. It hasn't been around long enough. And the people that support the lies that say it is safe, that it's going to put all of us in jeopardy and danger, is just insane. I personally am getting fed up. This is my town. I grew up here. I played with many of these people's kids. I used to swim in the butternut. I don't dare do that now for obvious reasons, and I certainly won't do it in the future if fracking comes around. There's just so many levels of danger involved. It's not even like, well, you know, maybe this little thing will happen. It's always, when something goes bad, it goes really bad when it comes to this industry. So I guess that's about all for now. We'll submit these at the proper time, I guess.
Pete?
This was not related to what's been going on, so okay to talk. I want to talk about the cell tower.
Okay.
You know, just to report to you. And I'll do it over here so you can see me. You don't have to turn around.
Pete, just to be consistent, because, yeah, we can hear you there, if you would.
You want me to?
Yeah, if you
Okay.
would, please. Thank you.
You want me to talk to you back? Okay. What's going on here?
You're going to fall right over if you don't get up.
Come on, Pete. Come on, I'll stand with you, Pete. Who else is going to join us? Come on.
Please don't interrupt. You're interrupting a public meeting.
Okay.
And I'm glad we're having you taped. You can't interrupt a public meeting.
Oh, we can't interrupt a public meeting. Okay. I will sit down. I will be still for a moment. Go ahead. That was very kind of you, Royce. Thank
All right,
you.
gentlemen?
Huh?
All right, gentlemen?
Try to,
Turn around and listen when you're talking.
you do.
Okay.
I don't mean to
refrain
get
from
nervous.
being a nuisance.
Why don't we let,
Good. Good.
why don't we let Pete speak?
Bill Pickens says, I don't know how much you've heard, but you know that Bill has, out of the goodness of his heart, donated his labor. And he's already been up there twice already. And the Historical Society is going to donate material costs. But he's run into one problem, and that is the beam that goes across, which is about back of the sign up there. Yeah, right in there is rotten. And he's going to need a man lift to get it up there, take it up there. Now, I asked him, I said, if the bell tower wasn't going to come off, or if it was going to come off, would that beam have to be replaced anyway? And he said, yeah, it would. So I'm kind of requesting that the board, the village board and the town board, however it works, pay for a man lift, since we're going to pay for all the rest. Because that's not really related to the tower. I don't need an answer now, but I just...
And Bill also did say one more thing to keep you up to speed. He's been out on the roof all over. He made some, maybe he's talked to you.
No.
He made some patches, a few patches. He said most of the places that was leaking, he said the roof is not in bad shape. He said if it was his own personal roof, he would not replace that roof. There is places where the water's got, and correct me if I'm wrong, where the splashing has got up. He said he replaced some of it, where it's got up
And he tarred around it.
tarred around it and stuff where the water was running in. He thinks he's pretty much got the water stopped, but it wasn't in the roof part. It was where it come up on the edge, the flashings, different places running back through. There's one back in here someplace. He thought it was going over the meeting room upstairs. And
But he's patched around where he thinks the leak is coming from for now.
Right,
So it's not an emergency issue right now.
and he said you could go ahead, but he said he thinks it's and I was going to recommend maybe asking Bob Anderson to go look at it too, now that he's kind of got some insight into it, that it really, the roof itself is not as bad as we were led to believe, because it's leaking from other areas, flashings and stuff like that, some being around the bell tower. So we may not have to face that.
Full replacement.
Interesting, he's found, I think the earliest, there's lots of signatures up there of people that worked up there. I think the earliest one's 1899, something like
Something in
that.
the 1800s.
Of somebody that worked there. So anyway,
Do we have any idea what the cost will be?
To run a lift.
Upstairs, it's not legal. When I was a kid.
Oh.
I didn't write my name up there, but I was up there.
What do you took, like a,
Bill was he was gonna look into it. I asked him to look into
okay.
the cost. I know that when we did our building, it was about $3,000 to lift. And that was Dixie.
You had it quite a while though.
Yeah, we had it over a month.
Well, yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
that's just a ballpark.
He said there was no way with the ladder and tools and stuff that he couldn't get from the top. He said he's gonna have to go from the side, take some of the siding off and put it back on. Come in from the side of the building with a lift and replace that beam that's in there. Somehow, and
I don't understand that either, but he's got the bell detached.
he said, is that heavy?
Yeah, and he said it was very heavy.
In the corner of it
I haven't talked to the firemen, so I don't know what their program is.
Good news and bad news and good news.
Well, I think it's mostly good news.
Yeah, if you don't have to.
Fix that roof and put a big major roof
All
on.
right.
If you go with a large man lift, you might be able to take that bell lift down too.
Well, if it's up there, it might.
Better than the fire
Yeah.
commissioners can get you on it too.
Yeah,
Thanks, Pete.
okay,
Perhaps I got something.
okay.
Yep.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I'll keep you informed.
Okay.
But I think Bill will anyway.
Yeah, I see Bill right away.
Alan, do you?
Earlier I provided Pete and I got Phil, I have some more copies if other board members would like it. I'm putting together a paper for adaptation to climate change and how that impacts.
Is there a separate rule? Would you stand back,
Oh.
please?
Whichever. I was behind this, so I didn't know if I can I step over here? Is that okay for you? Okay, the material for this paper has been developed using information from NYSERDA's Responding to Climate Change in New York State, final report number 11-18, as well as other resources and the experiences of the author. Much of this paper is to be considered new and creative material with full copyright protection in the United States. No portion of this work may be reproduced or published in any media without the express written permission of the author, Alan Springett, or of the various sources cited herein. So, yeah,
I'll interrupt you and
So
just
I-
ask you to do a summary of
That's what I'm trying
what
to
you're
do.
proposing to the
Yeah,
board.
this,
and-
I've got 7 pages here, so I was just trying to summarize it in a few. I have here the contact information for Department of Homeland Security Emergency Services in Albany, the wildfire prevention and education specialist, and I'm requesting that the town consider joining the Firewise communities, and also that they consider appointing a member to head a Firewise committee to work with Otsego County Emergency Manager and the Department of Homeland Security Emergency Services to determine the pros and cons of joining such a program and possibly going for grant funding to do some of the adaptive mitigation measures that I'm beginning to develop in this paper. And I'll give this to the clerk so that she has a full copy. But I think it's an important thing. The sooner you start mitigation activities of this sort, the less expensive it can be in the long run. So we need to consider this. Everything is pointing to a continuation of what we're seeing now. hot, dry summers, increased growth during the winters, increased attacks and stresses on our forests, and this will lead to substantially increased fire hazard. And we are not, this is something that's happened all over the country. Even a wet climate doesn't necessarily help. Florida has seen some incredible wildfires during periods of drought there, and they're a whole lot wetter than we are. Thank you.
Alan, have you proposed this to the county?
I'm going to talk to the county emergency manager as well. One of the things I'm doing here is I'm using the town of Morris as essentially a straw man for the adaptive methodologies, because I feel that this is pretty much a microcosm of the central New York area where we have forests.
The county's in the process, it's a joint process of updating their hazardous mitigation plan.
That's part of one of my adaptations in here is requesting that any Firewise committee would be working with the planning department in the development of that hazard mitigation strategy update.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? All right.
I will be respectful. Last month at the village board meeting, I will come over to study plan. The board was presented with a letter to Governor Cuomo regarding continuing the moratorium. Pete's familiar with this. He was at that meeting, and he has had copies of the information that was being sent. The village board members signed this document saying that they would be in favor of continuing the moratorium. That has not been sent out yet because we were waiting until the meeting that would have taken place last month with the town board, and obviously that didn't take place. So we're presenting it to the town board at this meeting, the petition. I won't go into all the details. I have copies and I will give them to you. And I think, Pete, did you have the ones from before, that other letter that we first had for the board? From the village board, we gave them the documents.
The letter was included in the minutes. That's the only letter that I have.
Okay, yep. Pete sent me a letter, the minutes of the meeting, saying that this letter had been signed, and I have that included here. But what I can give you guys is this copy of 331 people, government officials have signed this document. And I think I have the moratorium that was originally in place until the governor was to make the decision regarding the safety.
It's an executive order now, it's not a moratorium.
I don't believe it's actually in effect yet.
I think you should pass it out, each member should.
Right, that's what we're asking for, is each member to vote. You do not have to sign this as a board. You can sign this. Royce in the past has spoken about being in favor of continuing the moratorium. He's been willing to stand up and say who's going to join me in looking at this in a little bit different way. And this gives Royce and anybody else whose opinion might be changing an opportunity to sign and say we are in favor of continuing this process until more. We know a lot of scientific stuff has been already discovered, but until we can really assure a lot more safety is in place. And that's really what this is hoping to do, is to say these are government officials who are asking the governor to consider continuing this even longer than what it has been.
Is there a time frame on it? Or?
I don't see one on the actual letter here. I think some of the timing has passed from when they wanted to have it in. But you'll see that some of your packets, they say 300 and some signatories, and the next grouping says 331. So they're still taking signatures, basically, is what we're saying. This is for the village, yeah, just come over here, give that to you. That's for the village board, is a thank you from us, saying thank you for signing the letter in support of the moratorium. And Pete had sent me the minutes to go along with their signatures. So I have it to still send in. I'd like to leave this with you tonight, and if you wish, in executive session or whatever you might be doing after, I would like you to consider signing that. This is the same thing that they signed at the other meeting. This is the letter to the governor that you have in the minutes, Pete. It's the same thing.
This is something different.
No, it's the same letter. Let me show you. This is the same thing that the village board signed.
Right, but I mean this package here that you just gave.
Well, the packet that I gave them is just the signatures of it's updated.
Oh,
Updated
all right.
signatures of what that is, yeah. So.
But that letter is in this package.
Yes, do you want?
No, I've got that.
Okay, okay. So basically, that's what we're asking. And I think what I'll do is, are you in tomorrow, Pete? You're into work tomorrow or Thursday?
Yes.
Okay, I will leave it with you as a board, and if you desire to sign, which we hope that you do, I can pick that up on Thursday, then, and we can see that it gets sent in. Is that okay? To do it that way?
Yeah, I doubt if they'll have a response by then.
Tonight? Shouldn't take you too long to decide, should it?
I'll have to read it after the meeting.
When would be a reasonable time, then, do you think, Pete? Or do all of you think would be reasonable?
I don't know, whenever anybody wants to sign it, can respond. Is there an address on
Is there
here
anybody who would like to sign it tonight?
with the individual
I'll
board
have to
member?
read
who
it,
sends
sign
it
it
in?
first.
Okay. It's all you,
Just for signing anything.
basically it's just that one page, that first page or two
When the meeting is
pages.
over, I'll read it.
Okay, Royce, thanks.
I might have to borrow some of the glasses.
Okay. Well, hopefully, as soon as you can, we will be very glad to send that in on the behalf of the town board and the village of Morris and town of Morris.
Are there any other comments?
I do have I'm sorry, Pete, I always do that too. I do have one more question. Can you explain to us the role that the attorney plays in being here at the town board meeting?
Perhaps Mr. Mirza can do that in a minute. Let me just see if you have anything.
I can just tell you quickly that we set a date today for getting out of MOSA of April 30th of next year.
Yay.
Contingent, thank you, on the asset appraisal being done. The asset appraisal being done, and in order to get that done, we had to agree to doing an update to the asset appraisal if we drag our feet on getting out. If we can do what we want to do, which is get the asset appraisal done and get everything divvied up by the first of the year so that we can then go out with an RFP to run the transfer stations, we should be able to go by April 30th. Other than that, I will answer any questions I can try to answer.
Jim, what's happened with this road program that we had spent $9,000 for? And it was out here, it's held up in the county someplace or someplace.
The guy at the other table will probably tell you more about that than I can.
No, we'll get to that.
I mean, that's a lot trickier than most people think. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, absolutely right.
It's not easy to pick out one vehicle, say we're not going to have these and we're not going to have those.
Well, that's one of the reasons I would sign a moratorium. I don't want a road store park until we know we can get some of that stuff in place and make sure it's going to be right.
Well, the county
Well, I'm asking that question.
The county passed theirs. One of the things that the supervisor asked me to address tonight was the status of the town. I wasn't aware that you participated in it, but we have the draft statute. We have also have the draft contracts to enter into between the town super, or the highway superintendent, and anybody who comes in and coordinating with the county. But one of the things that the supervisor asked me to do was to bring over that. There's a county model that we can talk about. In the end, I'd have to do some talking with the highway superintendent.
Okay.
The problem, of course, becomes who's going to enforce it. That becomes the problem.
Which is one of the things that we discussed
Yes.
at those, I don't know, did you
Oh,
attend
yeah,
those also?
Yeah.
You heard me on that subject.
I've heard from many people on this. subject.
Yeah.
Dave, would you like to introduce yourself to the board?
Sure. My name's Dave Mercer. Actually, when I was born here. My family was born in Fox Hospital, but my family was living here. My grandparents lived here. My Uncle Earl used to own a grocery store where the Gateway is. He owned that property. My great uncle Charles worked for H.H. Lynn. I was overlooking at the Lynn tractor over there, and when Mr. Lynn died, he left my great uncle his house, and that's the brick house across from Zion Episcopal. And when I was first married, I lived up on Church Street. So my people go back into Morris for an awful long time.
Father's a doctor.
My father's a doctor here in Morris. Delivered a lot of babies. I still run into people, older people, very old people, who say you look just like your dad. But they're very old people. So after Tim Johnson, Tim's dad was our family's attorney for years and years, and when he stopped being the town attorney, I got a call from Pete, and he said, "Would I be interested in doing it?" I said, "Sure." And so whenever I represent several towns and villages in Otsego, Delaware, and Shenango County. I'm village attorney in Berlin, and so I always like to come out and visit my board. So I talked to Pete after he signed a retainer, and I said, I'd like to come out to the next meeting and just say hi and introduce myself to the board so they can see my face. And then last month, because of the situation with Pete's family, I didn't come over, so we put it off till tonight. So I'm here to introduce myself, say hello, and again, just so you see, attach a face to the to dictates when you get letters from me and things, and again, different boards have different rules. Generally, they don't like to have all the board members all calling me with asking for separate opinions, so that they can go back and they say, well, he told me and he told me. So very often you route it through the town supervisor, unless you have some other issue. You can talk to him, and he can call me, and that way he can filter situations. But if something comes up, I'm in the book, and again, Pete's called me on a couple occasions already, and Ray sure knows how to get a hold of me, and I'm pretty accessible, and I've been doing this for a lot of years, so I generally try to steer you in the right direction, and the bad thing is that I generally, Morris, I have closer connections with anybody else, or like over in Delaware County or something, but I'm not anybody's brothers, cousins, uncles, sisters. I'm not pro or anti anybody in town. Nobody gives me business or doesn't give me business. So and in the end, I've worked for Republicans, I've worked for Democrats, I've worked for everybody. I just try to be a straight arrow and tell everybody what the real story is, because I'm going to be around a long time. So if I say things that make you mad, I'm sorry, but it's what I think and what I've seen, and I ain't always perfect, because sometimes you take these things up to the Supreme Court of the United States and they're still 5-4, So I'll usually couch everything by saying it's my opinion that, but it's an opinion that I don't just pull out of the air or say for somebody's benefit. It's an opinion that's come. When I started this, I had hair, so you know what it's like. So that's my pitch for the evening, and I told Pete I'd come over and say hi, and he said, well, geez, when you come over, to talk to me about did you bring everybody up to speed on the highway thing? And I said, if they have questions or comments about something that I could be helpful with, don't hesitate to call.
Basically, we're at the point of just doing the law. The training is done.
Yeah. Have you done the training? So the county's adopted their law. The only thing that you have to be, as Pete was saying, one of the real problems that you're going to have is, and one of my favorite sayings is that laws are simply black spots on white pieces of paper unless there's something behind it. And again, if you're dealing with a big, with a big company, they're probably going to be cooperative. One of the tough situations is if you have somebody who's going from point A to point B, and A is outside the town, and B is outside the town, and all they're doing is running the trucks straight through the town without having any project in the town. And if that happens, you either got to go to A or to B in order to find them, in order to catch them. And going out on a back road someplace and saying stop, it ain't going to happen. If you're going to find them, who's going to give them the ticket? But all that being said, you still did a road survey. You still paid for the statute. You paid for the training. So I brought a copy of the draft. Again, the county model, the exact one that's being adopted by all the other towns. So it's in conformance with the county statute. It then goes hand in glove with the county statute, and you'll get some help from the county planning. But that's all that really needs to be done at this point. And I can get a draft together, send it out. You still need to have a public hearing on it. We need to send it up to county planning for 239M approval. We have to do a seeker, a state environmental quality impact statement. Again, because these have been done before, we know that the county isn't going to oppose its own statute. We still have to go through the process. So you're probably looking a couple of months down the line, assuming that you're okay. We have to get a final copy filled in and ready to go, and it's got to sit on your desks. It's got to be in your hands for at least 10 days, either by mail for 10 days or sitting here with the clerk for 7 days before you can start moving forward. But what I would suggest you do is that we do an environmental impact statement next week. We get the copy out to you sometime in the next couple of weeks. Then get an environmental impact statement out to you. Again, it's going to be a negative impact as well as it's going to be a positive impact on the environment, not a negative one. And then send it up to the county for their review. They'll send it back with approval. You have a public hearing. You have to advertise it in the newspaper. You have a public hearing on it. Then you vote on it. Then the clerk gets a certified copy of it. We get 3 of them together. I sign them all. We send them up to the Secretary of State's office. It gets filed and it's done. So it's still an involved process, but at this point, it's all over with the shouting. It's just grinding the sausage.
Just one quick question as far as you're saying policing it.
Enforcing, yeah.
Okay, just say somebody come and drill on, just say my little 3 acres or 5 acres of land, and they damage the roads. The highway superintendent is the one that, once he sees that happens, how does that all come down?
No. This goes into place long before anybody starts doing anything.
Well, right. Well, I'm saying once it's in place, but I'm saying once it's in place, and
somebody starts violating it.
A driller starts violating it, no matter if it's my road or, I mean, it wouldn't be Jacob's road because that's a county to enforce.
Right.
It wouldn't be Phil's road, that's a state. But say Barnett Ridge or someplace else.
Yeah.
How does that come in play? That who polices it?
Well, this is the point. I mean, the first thing that I would do, I do 2 things. First, I contact the county code enforcement, because again, the town doesn't have a code enforcement officer. So as a result, that's the county responsibility. The second thing, and what I've been telling everybody to do, is something like that happens. County will respond, but not the person, but who knows when and who knows where. What I would do is I call DEC, because there ain't nobody going to be doing nothing without DEC's permission to be doing it. And I call DEC, and if DEC, if they will come in and they'll say you're violating the local law. They don't have direct enforcement. They have indirect enforcement, because anytime anybody's violating, one of the provisions of any DEC permit is you conform with all local laws. So it's a backwards enforcement, but they respond pretty quick, especially with something that they've permitted. So that's my suggestion.
See, my problem with the whole law is it's not necessarily somebody that's drilling it damages the road. Somebody that doesn't have to even have a permit to do anything or anything else damages the road.
Yep.
How do you enforce that compared to somebody else?
Again, damage to road is damage to road. The statute relates to a particular activity that has a beginning and an end. It has projected activity. We've run into it rather significantly up in Richfield Springs, where they're talking about putting in wind turbines. And they're bringing in, they're bringing in big trucks. They're putting a route in. They've got to stop traffic, things like that. So that's a project-specific one where the contracts are all going to be in place, the agreements are going to be in place, the bonding is going to be in place, all before any permits are issued.
Yeah, but see, my issue is not something like that, but I mean, personally, we built a new barn. We had over 1,000 loads of gravel hauled in. I mean,
It would cover that.
I mean,
It doesn't matter what industry.
yeah, but I mean, there's
It's
it's not necessarily, and we didn't have to apply, we didn't apply for any permits or anything else.
There's no statute in place.
Well, I mean, but still, it really, I mean, wouldn't you have to have a permit to, do that many loads or?
Yeah. Again, if what you're going to do is you have a project-specific activity that's going to potentially damage the roads, then you have to go to the town supervisor. You have to go to the county and show what you're going to do. I mean, the underlying principle of this is that the town taxpayers shouldn't have to be paying taxes in order to fix the roads that somebody else has damaged for their own economic benefit.
Well, I mean, even like for us, it's part of our business. We're filling the buck, bringing,
Sure. Well, again,
it's.
This is why it's a local law. It's not being passed by legislative fiat. If people want, if the board doesn't want to pass a statute, they don't have to pass the statute.
No, but I'm just saying that's normal business for us. Is so many loads going in and out every day or whatever.
Some people, some towns have put in a specific agricultural exemption. Those are options in the town.
We had an incident once, and I don't know if anybody here was on the board, up on Potato Farm Road. Frank Cott was highway superintendent, had a logger going there, spring in the air. Well, when it got done, the road was just like that. Well, Frank contacted the town attorney at the time, wrote him a letter, and the insurance company from the logging company had to pay for the fixing of the road. At that point, we didn't have anything in place, as we don't now, but they did end up, the insurance company did fix Potato Farm.
Those are, as I said, if you can enforce it, you can enforce it. Certainly a lot easier to enforce it if you have a statute that you don't. But again, that's up to this board. And we'll send it down to you.
Can I ask a question as a person who worked on this for the county? I don't want to interfere with your meeting here, but during one of the meetings, didn't I hear him say that the highway superintendent could issue a summons?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I want...
Oh, yeah, the highway superintendent is specifically authorizing the statute to do that.
This statute or in general New York State?
No, in this statute. That's my recollection, I haven't looked at it. But the problem we run into is getting them and finding them, especially if they're, like I said, if they're outside the town. Because highway superintendent does have jurisdiction outside his own town.
No, I understand that, but I thought they were saying that in New York State law, highway superintendents could summons to people that are damaging roads.
Don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
Okay, I know there was a lot of talk going on at the time.
Yeah, I'm not positive about that.
Okay.
If he doesn't, you can find somebody who does. But I've also found highway superintendents are not real happy about issuing tickets. It's been my experience. They said, I oil and stone roads. I don't serve tickets on people.
Yeah.
So getting outside enforcement.
He's got his blood, so.
Well,
no reason to be that way.
Well, whatever. I won't speak for it.
Yeah.
Dave, since the topic was brought up by Marilyn Rowland regarding the situation of the board at the table, Are you familiar with that?
Well, I read the article in the Star, and Bob Friedman and I are old friends.
There you go.
But I guess I'm not sure what's your question.
And maybe you will not want to do it now, but could you form a recommendation for the board on the issue?
Again, here's the situation. If you all huddle together and whisper, you know, then obviously it's like the equivalent meeting in executive session. Now, whether you sit around the table or all sit on top of the table or sit under the table, the form is not. There's nothing magic about any form. The purpose of the open meeting law is to allow people to attend, so that they can see, so that they can hear. But the problem is, you know, it's all a reasonableness question. I mean, I happen to have. My mother always told me I had an irritating and penetrating voice. There ain't nobody in this room, even with a voice with one ear deaf, that can't hear what I'm saying right now, because that's just the way I am. But the problem is you can't guarantee that everybody, no matter where they are, or what their level of hearing is, what else is going on, especially if there's people shouting and yelling at the same time, that everybody's going to hear everything that's happening. So the answer is everybody has to be reasonable. If you whisper and hide and try to make it so people can't hear what you're doing, then you're violating the open meetings law. If you speak in a normal, this is not a big room. If you speak normally, you know, again, we got a tape going. It's no surprise what's going to happen if whether people can't be heard. They can see you. They can tell whether you're whispering. You know. So the answer is everybody has to be reasonable. You can't. I don't know what your experience is, but I experienced a little of it earlier. Is that audience members don't have the right to participate in meetings. They have the right to observe. They're observers. They're not active participants. You have absolutely no obligation to answer any question. It's not a question and answer period. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to brief anybody. You don't have to say, yes, I'm going to vote one way or another. No, this is what we're not going to do. They have the right to observe. They have the right to see it and what they're doing. They don't have the right to speak out and express their opinion when other people are talking or participating in the action. They can be here, they can see. But if they shout and yell, if they interfere, they're trespassing, they're harassing. It's a crime. They have an absolute right to be here. They have an absolute right to videotape. But they don't have the right to interfere with the meeting. They don't have the right to hit you. They don't have the right to scream at you. They don't have the right to shout so that business can't be done. But at the same time, you have an obligation to act reasonably. They have the right to see what's going on. They have the right to hear what's going on. You can't whisper. And if somebody says, we can't hear you, then, you know, don't then huddle around and talk to them and say, most people can hear me even when I whisper. But you get my point. And the answer is, you know, what Bob said, you know, he didn't say you have to face the audience, you have to speak up, you have to have a loudspeaker system, you have to make sure that every single person, even if they don't have their hearing aid, has to be able to hear. He said it's important that people be able to see and hear what's going on, because that's the only way that you can see and hear what's going on. The other way to do that. So it's always a middle ground. And if you do something extreme, if anybody does anything extreme, then what they're doing is that they're violating the principles of the open meeting law. The purpose of the open meetings law is not allow other people to dominate a meeting, to shut people down, or do anything. The purpose is to give an opportunity to everybody to see what they're doing. In the end, the way to cure all problems in an elected society is go to the polls. If people don't like what the board is doing, then, you know, by God, election time comes around, you can do what you want, and then other people can sit out in the audience, and they can find out what fun it is to sit at these tables. But in the meantime, you have an obligation to let them do it. They have an obligation to let you do it. There's no obligation even to have a public speaking. You know,
That's what I was just going to bring up.
yeah, there's absolutely no obligation to have a public speaking point. Many entities do. The problem that you run into is if you start doing it, then where do you stop it?
Yes.
You know, an hour later, 2 hours later, 5 hours later, there's no obligation to do that. They have the right to be here. They have the right to see what's going on. They don't have an inherent right to do it. Many town boards do. They do just what you do. They have at the meeting. Some of them don't. But that's what the law is.
As far as the public comment period, we don't have to do that.
You do not have to do it. But you, again, if it's a process that you've always had, then if you're going to do that, I pass a resolution saying that you're going to change it. Now, technically, the chairman, who's the superintendent, controls the agenda, and he controls the agenda like he controls the agenda. Now, board members can bring up topics, but the agenda is controlled by the superintendent, and there's no obligation. There's an absolute obligation, an absolute right for people to be here and to be able to attend the public business. But other than that, it's not there.
It just makes the meeting drag out too much of a lot.
Again, some people put time limits. They have
I'm sorry I voted for you, Phil.
What's that? Yeah. Don't if you start a dialogue, then you can't complain. You see what I'm saying? If you start, if what you do is you start having a dialogue, then you're having a dialogue. What I'm saying is some places have timers. Well, they'll start the timer 2 minutes. They got 2 minutes. 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes. But that's up to the board. Any of the generic stuff on here? Generally, you retain me, so it's not an hourly thing. I was up in Pittsfield; they paid me by the hour. So I was encouraging questions on that, but you not so much.
Just a question on the public hearing for the highway thing. As far as conducting that, because there's so much material involved in it, and I'm not.
I'm happy to send you a couple inches of stuff.
For me to explain to the public what an easel is.
Again, a public hearing is not for you to explain anything.
Okay, it's just.
If you want to have a workshop where you bring somebody in and say we're going to answer questions, that's not what a public hearing is. A public hearing is a time for you to hear what the public says. No more, no less. You can sit here with your lips zipped, and you can say, you got 5 minutes. Anybody who wants to make a comment, then make a comment. That's what a public hearing is. Public hearing is not a discussion, it's not an argument, it's not an opportunity for people to ask questions and for you to answer. Public hearing is for the people to have an opportunity to give input to the people who are going to vote as to what their opinions are and what they think about the statute. And that's all. So you don't have we don't need you don't have again there's plenty of information on this county board, but be it as it may, at any public hearing, you don't have an obligation to explain. All you have is an obligation to give the people an opportunity to make it. And again, usually what they do is in the notice, in the paper, they say there's a copy of the complete statute at the clerk's office. You can pick up copies there, and then they can harass her, and she can get it, and they can look at it, they can read it all they want. They can talk to all the experts they want, they can talk to anybody they want. But you have no obligation to answer questions. Because again, you might not know the answer to that.
More likely.
Well, that's there's a lot of technical stuff there, and the agreement that they want to enter into with project folks is probably 15 pages long and requires bonding and all kinds of things, and technical manuals that are maintained by the county. And
so you have reviewed this.
Well, I've done it.
So us as board members, we've got to put our faith in the county that's doing it, and you as an attorney to recommend that to us.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you should agree.
To every meeting that we've gone to on this.
But that doesn't mean you can't read it.
Yeah, I'm not saying we should read it.
And the thrust of it is if somebody's going to do something that's going to damage the road, then there is a review of the road conditions prior. There's a review of the road, and you plot out where they're going to go. Then they get a permit to do it, and then there's a review later, afterward, and then there's a determination as to what they got to do to bring it at least up to where it was before they started. And that's end of story. And they got to post a bond to do that. So if they don't do it voluntarily, we can go against the insurance company, get it put. Well, again, the answer is if you address it before it happens,
I agree.
It's a lot easier than address it after that.
I was just talking on a personal.
Well, we all know what it's like to go with bonding companies. Jim knows what it's like to go with bonding companies. It's a lot of frickin' work, and they want to hold on to every penny for as long as they possibly can. But it's still better than nothing.
Any other questions?
I have one about Delta, if I might ask Mr. Mertz, if we wanted...
That's up to the supervisor. Again, I'm
It's just
here.
a quick question. If we wanted to know whether the town surveyed only the 20 miles of roads through the highway superintendent's help, or if they went beyond that and surveyed additional roads, who would we bring that question to?
I call county planning.
Pardon?
I would call county planning. They were the ones
Okay.
who coordinated it countywide.
Okay.
So what it was done on, I don't know, it's on, the plan on a local basis was that they surveyed all the town roads in a particular town. And that was one of the things that you paid for. They rode a truck over with a camera on it, I think, and they did a complete review of all the roads. They also did GI, they did, using Google Maps, did a mapping of all the town roads.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Road drive. Again, I've thrown a lot of information at you in a short period of time. Don't hesitate to, when questions arise, don't hesitate to ask the superintendent whether they'll call me or not. Okay. Thank you, folks. I will show up when asked to show up. I generally won't show up unless you ask me to. Yeah, well, is this contacting key?
Yes.
Okay. And if you need to call. Okay. Nice meeting you, folks.
Thank you.
Same here.
See you again sometime.
Sure will. Take care.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, Auditing the Hills.
Take care.
Good now. All the same day, I wonder if something happened on the telephone down there. Or somebody couldn't get through, Chris. Yeah,
Is it a Milford or?
Yeah, Milford, it must be
the alarm.
Huh? Is that what that is? I'm saying, holy Hannah, there must, no, look at it, it's gotta be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 calls or something.
Bet there's zero.
Yeah, there's zero, I was just saying, what the heck would anybody be calling one number?
It's something with the low battery
Oh, yeah?
alarm.
That can't look,
$1,000 credit with them for the bill for the overseas. They didn't do it. I called them up and then they remembered.
So John, what did you end up accomplishing percentage-wise on the ceiling?
Percentage of the entire paved roads that we did? About
20%.
20%.
25, I was wondering. I know you're trying to speak on a few more to get them back in shape.
Well, it's,
Didn't know if you did too many more.
it's about 16 to do a mile. And it's about 50 to should pave a mile. So the quicker we get on them, the less likely we are to have very expensive maintenance. But that's about 20% of the roads.
Great, very nice.
Thank you. We did, we took a lot of coal patch over there and
Greater patch then?
yeah, we graded it. We feathered in some of the bad spots
Yeah.
before we sealed it, and that seemed to work out really well.
Yeah, it looks nice now.
Thank you. That hadn't been done since '02, that's 10 years out.
I wonder what's going on for. Huh?
Our county was in Roger.
What you get there, just so we don't have to dig up glasses?
Sorry, Chase, yeah.
I can't find my glasses.
That's a 12-inch by 20-foot culvert.
Okay. I just couldn't read it. You little Simon.
We've been getting them from Shimon, but
They're
we
cheaper.
were one short. And it's like $5 more, but we could run over and get it ourselves instead of waiting for Shimon to do it.
Bring it out, bring it in. Where we get ours from?
I think Shimon has a bid price, so we do pretty good at Shimon.
Yeah, where we can buy it from that.
Right. Sure would like to sneak in Bailey Road on the ceiling. It's a 1.2, the Reggie does.
Oh, yeah, that's, okay, I was a little farther, I was told you. Dick Fowler, she's starting to get bruising.
Up on, well, that's not that old, so's Harris Hill, neither one of them are that old, but they didn't get any,
Good base on
they
it.
didn't get any prep work before they got sealed, they just went over them.
Yeah, well, I know, I'm saying, you can see with the wheel tractor,
Yeah.
they're running down.
But it's worked out really well having that pile of coal patch you let us get.
True and level.
Make a motion on that, supervisor, pay bills.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The county is, as mentioned before, the county is updating their hazardous mitigation plan, and they're looking for the towns that are participating in it to either agree to continue the participation or to discontinue participation. I don't see any reason why not to continue.
Yeah, I would think so.
So if I could have a motion authorizing the town supervisor to sign an agreement with the county to continue participation.
Also move.
Second? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We have 2 resignations. Yep. Harry Wild is going to resign from the Board of Assessment Review. And effective September 1st, our court clerk is resigning for personal reasons. The process of finding a new court clerk, I'm assuming we want to continue with the court clerk.
Oh, yeah.
He wants one?
Yes.
Yes. He will have some candidates, but we'd like the candidate, especially if the candidate is not a court clerk now, where with this clerk, she was full-time court clerk in town of Oneonta, which gave her a lot of experience, and she has done a very good job. And if we get somebody that doesn't have the experience, we would like her to be able to train the new one.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can come up with some people, I'll probably call an executive meeting before the August meeting.
So you can have a month
to
to train them.
review the applications and get things rolling, so we don't have a lapse where we have an untrained clerk, because we're dealing with a new judge as well as.
Yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the resignations.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
I would make a motion that the clerk, both cases, but especially Harry Wells, who served many, many years on the Board of Equalization and Review, we send him a letter of thank you on a card or something. Did many years of community service. For that, he was an assessor.
I'll second that.
It is well there, if anybody knows of anybody who would like to.
Have you got any candidates for the clerk position at this point?
Hopefully we'll have 2.
Okay.
And, hopefully we'll have maybe more. All right. We, at one of the past meetings, we signed the intermunicipal agreement with the towns of Butternuts and New Berlin for the South New Berlin Water District. We signed the wrong copy.
Oh.
Okay. This is the copy that needs to be signed. And that'll be transmitted to Okay. Next topic is the new highway truck. We've gone through the permissive referendum process, and there's been no negative petitions filed. So we can proceed with the purchasing of the truck. I would recommend, rather than us putting it out to bid, go through the expense ourselves, that we take part in the Oneida County bid to purchase a Mack vehicle with the specification that the highway superintendent is looking for. This is a heavier truck than is available in any of the state bids.
And that was actually cheaper than what we were looking at from the other.
It's cheaper than a state bid,
Yeah.
Westminster.
Interested?
It's a 2352. 23 front, 52 rear.
52. Getting up there now. It's good.
Everything else is 1848.
Yeah. You can't buy without it.
They're better now than they were when they first went to the, they're getting it dialed in a little better.
Like a mile per gallon when they first came out there.
You have to pull over, kind of recover.
Yeah.
You don't have to, it's been around for a couple of years now to get it dialed in a little bit better. Of course, that's what the salesman told me. Who knows?
Was there a Road Ranger on? Road Ranger? 8-speed, it says.
That's a Mack.
The Max Randy?
It's double reduction.
Okay.
A 10-speed double reduction.
It says here, yeah. Doesn't say that on that.
So the next thing would be the authorization to have the supervisor sign a letter of intent with the dealer to start getting the truck built.
Need a motion?
Yes.
Also.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried. The Finance Committee, at the full meeting, reviewed the supervisors and the clerk collectors' financial reports for the months of May and June 2012. That's all I have.
Hey, oh, yeah. Go ahead, let him do it, but then maybe he'll bring up what I'm going to ask.
There's a copy of the letter of intent that Matt gave me, if you want to use that as a, that's the cab and chassis. There's no county bid or state bid or anything on the rest of the plow equipment. What we have to do with the plow equipment is release specs and get bids on it, see who comes in low and then award the rest of the plowing equipment. I don't know how that works.
Get the specifications and
Mounted on the truck.
we'll have to advertise it and
All right, we're into July now, so there's no way we're gonna see this the first of the year. How quick can we do the bid process and awarding the
yeah,
bid?
well, if we have a motion authorizing us to put out a bid for the appropriate equipment to dress the truck. And as soon as we get the specs together, we can.
Now, we're talking dressing, we're talking plow.
Plow, wing tank, box, dump body, and sander, spreader.
That's what I was wondering, and you're gonna have a front mount spreader that goes
No,
on?
it's rear mount.
It's not like the ones you got knocking off on the wheels.
No, they're good some places, but they're not good everywhere. We got 2 fronts and 2 rears now, and that's what the guys that like on their routes. But, so the guys with the fronts, we're trying to keep them in the fronts, and the guys with the rears are trying to keep them in the rears.
So with this sander, are you having one you set in the back?
No.
Or are you gonna
It's
have
a
one with
unit.
the flow gates in it and?
Yeah.
And so it comes back?
Pops in underneath the
Close it for the
spreader.
summertime, you
Yeah.
close it down, so you're.
And it's just like the oldest Volvo that you have, the first tandem that you got. With the exception is, it's a stainless body instead of a painted steel body. But, if the length of time we're looking at trying to keep it, both the single axles that we have now are on their second dump body. So if we're gonna have the thing forever, we might as well get a box that lasts forever. And the difference between the painted steel and the stainless steel is like $6,000 or $7,000, which $60,000 dump body.
Okay.
I have the specs. For that.
Well, that's fine, I just was wondering.
I don't have them with me.
I wanted to see what Anybody else make a motion, or you want me to?
You're on a roll, Royce.
I'll do it.
I'll second the motion.
We need equipment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Motion carried.
So we'll do that at the next meeting with the bids that come in.
We'll advertise it, and then at the next meeting we can.
See what we get. Radios. They forgot that when they came over and did our estimate, updating our radios, they forgot they had to do a bunch of work to the transmitter. But I have a new quote from Tri-County on updating our radios for the narrow band. We only have one radio that's compatible with the new format. One of our radios can get updated. The other 8 are too old.
Computers, I get so darn mad every year. We gotta update the computers.
We kind of held off until school was out. I don't know how complicated or what's involved with them doing all these radios, but I didn't want to have school in session when we're goofing around with radios and have buses not be able to get a hold of us. Waited for good
So I
weather.
understand this. The transmitter that's on the tower now,
They have to do something to it to accommodate the new bandwidth.
you're not telling me.
I don't know. They're narrowing the bands for the radios.
That's because the federal government's saying you have to do that so they can have more available radio stations, communications. I think it has to be all done by the end of 2013, but I think it's 13.
It's got to be done this year.
This
Yeah. By the beginning of 2013. Yeah. Now, a lot of our equipment is held in good, and it's not able to be updated to the new way they have to do things. We got one radio that they can plug into a computer and do whatever they do to it, and it'll work with a new bandwidth, but the rest of the radios won't work.
Not the new estimate.
I'm just wondering if he doesn't comfort level of budgets.
It's federal mandates when that have to be done.
Yeah, probably you're right there.
Either you,
You were you want no choice.
And we can't go without them, I realize that.
you know, it's either, you know, you want to have
Well, you have-
one portable to pass around.
You have no radio otherwise, but that way, you don't do it.
There'll be one of them to pick up. No one at the other end.
I was gonna say, now they gotta find that radio. Scream all you want.
This is the Broome County bid.
Yeah, that's the bargain price.
That, the repeaters were kicked it up. That wasn't in,
Well, the price has changed too. Our last quote was old. I think it might have been John, but it still might have been Steve even, it had Steve's name on the top. We've been kicking around for at least a couple of years. The price has changed.
That's magic, if you can do it.
well, trying to think, come out of general. Comes out of general fund. Have to look.
How they will be.
Regardless, it's full time, whether one way or the other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Full time, either is not general.
no, general.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right, yeah. I would say we gotta go ahead with it.
Yeah.
Can't wait until October, November, when
No.
the snow starts flying, you're not gonna find it.
Somebody down and get hurt or something.
So, yeah, we'll have to move money out of
Transfer.
the, one fund to another.
Yep.
And do that. So motion authorizing the highway superintendent to enter into agreement with
Tri-County.
Tri-County to bring the town radios up to
Federal specs.
federal specs.
Okay.
Is there a second?
the motion.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried.
A little filer. That's a trout stream. That's still closed on both ends. So the it has to go through the DEC, and the county did watershed survey for that culvert, and they require 80 square feet of space. There's two 2-foot tubes in there right now. So we're got about 3.5, 4 feet of room, which assuming is why it keeps getting taken out. The box culvert at the transfer station is about 42, 43 square feet. So that's half of what is required to put that road back together. I have a quote from Chemung for the right size tube. It's about 60 grand for the tube. That's before the first piece of dirt goes down to cover it up.
A road you don't know where?
I don't know what you guys want to do, but sticking 100 grand on that road doesn't seem like too good of an idea, condition of other things that we have.
It's seasonal, there's nothing forcing us not to put that swash tube in there, correct? Would that be a...
We'd be doing it, we'd be
better
doing
than
it,
the two tubes?
well, yeah,
we have it now.
but we'd be, the DEC won't give us a permit to put that tube in there because the math isn't right. They'll give us a permit to cover up the two 2-footers,
But not to put it...
or they give us a permit to put in 80 square foot.
So that's...
But they won't give us a
That
permit.
answers my question.
They won't give us a permit to put that one in. So, I don't know what's involved, but maybe we could take the dirt off the end, put it down in the center, and, you know, there's 5 property owners on that road. Well, 2 properties are the same owner, and then, so it's 5 different properties, 4 different owners. Where are we at?
It's good, that's to say.
This is 10,
This is Fowler Hill right here.
so that the tube's about here.
Well, this is Bill and Lachlan over in there.
Bill is 88,
This,
that's Bill,
yeah,
that's Lyle.
they're all one and the same, because they wouldn't care if it was closed.
This is a guy,
But he still has access off this road.
right,
So the only one you got to worry about is this one.
this one and this one is the same owner.
That's the guy over here, Maple Grove Realty.
Yeah. Bill Hughes' whole farm.
He has access here, but probably down to our bank or some stupid thing.
Yeah.
Couldn't get to it. That's the only one there where really, I know these 2 people, I talked to them, I wouldn't have an issue with it. And he's got access here. I don't know. Bob Green did have some connections to this, I don't know if he still does. Ready, we can close it. Why couldn't we close this one though? Pete? These close this spur, if nothing else.
From 10 to the tube,
Yeah.
and then put a turnaround at the
Put a turnaround
At the
down
stream.
there.
Is that what you want to look into?
Yeah, I'd like to. Like to.
This is County 10, and those culverts are about in there. And here's the property owners that go with it. No, I'll do one more. And here's my estimate from Chemung. It's $1,100 a foot.
Now, would they let you put another splash tube right, the same size as the one that,
Yeah, as long as they come up with 80 feet.
how much would that cost? Not that we couldn't close it.
It was about 10 grand to extend that tube, enough to use over by your shop. So, and that was about 10 foot, or 15 foot, so probably 3 times that's probably 20, 25, 30, somewhere in there.
A lot of money for a road that doesn't even have a house on it. I would move to proceed with starting to close that section of the road from County Route 10 to the culvert.
Yeah. Okay, so by Mr. Mercer, you
Yep.
see what's involved. I'm sure there's going to have to be a public hearing.
Last time we did 6 of them, we got 5 of them closed, so we did pretty good.
Was this one of them, was this the 6th one?
Joe Henderson's.
Oh, Squires? I've got nothing else.
I got just one thing. Just here in the fireman talk, is that the last time we're going to be able to burn the brush pile?
I believe so. This is still under the storm, last year's storm issue, debris.
So we're going to have to look into that again. Way to get rid of the brush.
Well, the only way is
Grind it.
either grind it or, haul it over. Most of them take it, really.
Yeah.
They'll take it over to the station there. But the thing is, putting brush in the back of a truck
That's a lot of trips. A lot of trips.
it's ground up is one thing, and, for us to, how many hours put people out there with our grinder?
No, we were talking about
hiring a grinder, barrel.
It wasn't that bad, I didn't think, for
No, 4 years ago it was $2,500.
Yeah, we figured we could do it once a year though, right?
Yeah, once a year. Yeah, one
I mean, that's a lot cheaper than trucking that brush, all that brush, only on, my gosh, fuel and labor.
The only alternative is closing it, not accepting brush.
Every dirt road will have, hopefully it will be limited to brush, down over the top, you go up there by Shelley Road, and there's TVs and couches and
100 tires?
Tires, huh? Oh my gosh, all sorts of junk down that road. If the golf road came picked up, there was a bunch of tires up in there. Yeah, I think we should look into that again for another year. Start to get in place, and we can use it to plan our budget and stuff. I mean,
It actually is, in the budget, as far as getting, I anticipated like $3,000.
I mean, I think we owe it to our residents to have a place to get rid of their debris without them to truck it all the way around. One of the best bangs you get from the buck is that transfer station. It's brave haulage. That's what I was wondering, but some of our saying, what's the last time they ever burned the brush pile?
Unless another hurricane comes through. But
Anybody can grind it up and get into a guy with a pellet business and give him some market for it. The guy down to Howland Bridge has hay, he uses for his hay for pellets.
Those pellet mills need dust, not chips. They'd have to,
Is that what they do?
yeah, they take sawdust right off the blades, the mills.
the thing is, if we could chip it, probably a lot of people would take chips.
Chips, rot out, and compost, and
Well, don't-
maybe people.
We can't get into composting. We can get chips. but not
Okay,
compost.
call it what you may.
It's a whole different
Permit this shit.
You just got wet.
Huh?
It just got wet.
There's room down there for a substantial pile, we can keep it stacked up for you another way. The stone pile that was in front of it is over by the refrigerators now.
Well, even then, I don't want to, if it's not picked up during the summer, then we need to load it and get it out of there. Otherwise, sit it down there through the winters.
I mean, the brush pile itself.
Oh, yeah.
There's more room to accommodate it.
Yeah.
Lots of items end up in that brush pile. Pulling the box springs out.
Oh, I know, that's the thing, and that's what I'm saying. They start dumping over the road, they'd be dumping everything else over it too.
A lot of furniture in that brush pile. But
Furniture day twice a year.
you can't see it from anywhere either. You go around back to stone pile, the stone pile's gone, so maybe that'll slow down on the furniture landing in the brush pile. Maybe.
Yeah.
Any other business?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, aye?